Hello, Miss. My name is Wong Jun Chen from International Business. Today, I will talk about the Singapore culture environment.
So for the first slide is talk about Singapore social structure. So Singaporean claim they are egalitarian social, yet they retain strong hierarchical relationship. They can be observed in a relationship between partners and children, teacher and student, and employers and employees. This go back to their important culture value, good dependence. This slide is shown as Singapore stratification. So the social class, you can see there got three social class. Is upper social class, middle social class, and lower social class. And this is the data of the social class is before and now.
This slide is show about the Singapore social mobility. So Singapore is a top of Southeast Asia, but in 20 overall in global study. So here we got show the percentage. So the percentage is current social stage higher than childhood. The second is current social state same as childhood, and the current social state lower than childhood. This slide is show about the Singapore language. Chinese, Malay, Tamil, and English are Singapore four official language. The most widely spoken language worldwide and the language that by in this slide is show about the Singapore language. Chinese, Malay, Tamil, and English are Singapore four official language. The most widely spoken language worldwide and the language that by all ethnic group together is English. To ensure that they don't lose touch with their custom, children are taught in both English and their home target in school. English is also the official language of business and government in Singapore. This slide is show about the Singapore communication style. So Singapore communication style separate as four. So the first one is the indirect. The Singaporean popular means relies on indirect communication as a result on a necessary to preserve happy relationship. In order to convey meaning, they use less word and pay more attention to posture, expression, and tone of voice. Second is high contact. Disturbing news may be communicated through non-verbal channel or through third party. There are many ways to say no without saying it. Relationship determine the nature of communication. The third is formal. Singaporeans use title and subname in formal setting, but business between acquaintances is considered on the basis of the first name, although hierarchy is always respected and recognized. The last one is restraints. Respect for harmonious and cooperate requires self-control and restrain emotional expression. If a Singaporean loses his temper, it abhors both the offender and the offenders. This slide shows about the Singapore religion. Singapore is a secular immigrant country. The main religion in Singapore are Buddhist, Christianity, Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism. And here is show about the percentage of the religion. The government place great emphasis on respecting different religion and personal belief. This slide is so about Singapore value. Singapore culture is consistently correct. The supported tools regulation to uphold the 5 official shared value, including nature, family, community, consensus, and harmony. Nation before community and social about self. Family are the basic unit of social. Community support and respect for the individual. Consensus, non-conflict, harmony among race and religion. This slide is about the responder Q&A. So I ask, what is the language that Singapore use in daily life and business? And this slide is about the responder Q&A. I ask, what is the language that Singapore use in daily life and business? For Singapore, Singaporean including me is using English to communicate with each other. In school, we focus on learning English. Also, in business, I can say most of the company is using English because English is an international language most of the country use for business. So this is a similarity with my research. In communication, do you think that Singaporean is direct or indirect communication? Also, which contact is? I think it's in direct communication because in my company or daily life, most of the people will give a clear information and message. It is low context because Singaporean communicate information in a direct, clear, and passive manners. So this is differences. So this is the differences based on my research, because in my research, you can see that Singaporean is more likely is indirect communication, but the responder give me the answer is he think that is a direct communication. And the third responder Q&A. In communication, do you think that Singapore is explain a bit why you choose respect for value in Singapore? She said that it's because in Singapore, elders are treated
is because in Singapore, elders are treated with the high
traded. So I asked, can you explain a bit why you choose respect for value in Singapore? She said that it's because in Singapore, elders are treated with the highest respect. Always great to older person present first. Presentation, present.
is because in Singapore, elders are treated with the high
Traded, present, traded. So I asked, can you explain a bit why you choose respect for value in Singapore? She said that it's because in Singapore, elders are treated with the highest respect. Always greet the oldest person present first. Well, there are many ways to greet someone. A simple handshake and a soft bow are well acceptable. As about the
Is because in Singapore, elders are treated with the highest respect. Always greet the oldest person present first. While there are many ways to greet someone, a simple handshake and a slight bow are widely accepted, especially in the business world.
widely accepted. Shakedown. So I asked, can you explain a bit why you choose respect for value in Singapore? She said that it's because in Singapore, elders are treated with the highest respect. Always greet the oldest person present first. Well, there are many ways to greet someone. A simple handshake and a slight bow are valuing. This slide is talk about improvement of Singapore language. So in my opinion, I think Singapore should improve more and pay more attention to Chinese language, because nowadays China has a very huge market, and I believe the China's market will become biggest in the future. Furthermore, Chinese can improve the business negotiation and help you bridging the international language gap. If you have a version of the business world, learning business Chinese will set you appear for the competition. It will help you attract the attention of international employee and get hired more easily. This slide is talk about the improvement communication. For communication, I prefer Singapore use direct rather than indirect communication, because in the working place, direct communication is especially important to avoid mistake. By communicating directly, you can ensure that conflicts and misunderstanding are avoided. Also, if you are in a manager position, direct communication is a way of assessing power and make sure your employee know what you need to do. Thank you, Miss. This is the end of my presentation.